What a child can do today with assistance, she will be able to do by herself tomorrow. A quote from Lev Vygotsky. My name is Maria Morrison, and this is my presentation on Lev Vygotsky and his work on social interaction. It is titled, Let's All Learn Together. Lev Vygotsky lived from 1896 to 1934. He was born in Russia and graduated with a law degree from the Russian University. However, according to research, very early in his career, he transitioned from a law career to a career as a teacher and later as a psychologist. As an educational psychologist, Vygotsky studied human development and how social environments influence the human learning process. As a result of his studies, Vygotsky is known as the father of the following learning theories: the sociocultural theory, the social development theory, and the newly emerging social constructivism theory. Each of these learning theories involve Vygotsky's examination of the influence of social interaction on how people, in particular students, learn. This presentation will examine how to apply Vygotsky's views of social interaction in the classroom. Based on his studies, Vygotsky concluded that learning takes place through the interactions students have with their peers, teachers, and experts. Teachers should therefore create a learning environment that maximizes the learner's ability to interact with each other through discussion, collaboration, and feedback. Furthermore, Vygotsky rationalized that culture is the primary determining factor for knowledge construction, forming the basis of the sociocultural theory. This theory examines the important contributions that society makes to individual development and stresses the interaction between developing people and the culture in which they live. This theory has two focuses: how adults and peers influence individual learning and thus cognitive development, and how cultural beliefs and attitudes impact how instruction and learning take place. This presentation will focus on how adults and peers influence individual learning. Contrary to some of the theories of other educational psychologists, such as Jean Piaget, Vygotsky's sociocultural theory stresses the essential role that social interactions play in cognitive development. Vygotsky theorized that cognitive development begins with social interaction. Vygotsky's work on social interaction in the learning environment clearly challenged the traditional methods of teaching. Social interaction requires and celebrates students talking in the classroom, whereas traditional teaching methods felt that talking during class was detrimental to learning. Social interaction promotes learning contexts in which students play an active role in learning, whereas under traditional teaching methods, the teacher transmits information to students. Social interaction places the teacher in the role of collaborator or facilitator, whereas traditional teaching methods place the teacher in the role of director or worse, dictator. Was it possible to blend the traditional methods of teaching with methods that involved social interaction? What do you think? Yes, through the use of differentiated instruction. You see, this form of instruction gives the teacher the flexibility to combine traditional teaching methods with new teaching methods that promote student interaction, as well as address students' multiple learning levels and diversity. Teachers create instructional strategies that use students' talking or social energy to the student's advantage by promoting dialogue that is meaningful to lessons objectives, so that critically think about what they are learning. Vygotsky's work on social interaction encompassed two main principles: the more knowledgeable other, or MKO, the zone of proximal development, or ZPD. The MKO refers to anyone who has a better understanding or higher ability level than the learner with respect to a particular task, process, or concept. Using this definition, who is the MKO from the list below? Is it A, teacher, B, computer, C, peers, or D, all of the above? I'll give you a few seconds to think about it. D, all the above. Options A, teacher, and C, peer, were hopefully obvious answers, since teachers are assumed to have demonstrated a certain amount of content to acquire the license to teach. And who is more likely to know more about last summer's dance craze, Whip Nene, or the acceptable length to wear your joggers? A child or their parents? Right, a child. The not so obvious answer was probably option B, computer. You see, the MKO doesn't need to be a person. Schools are increasingly using computers to support students' learning. For example, electronic tutors. The key to MKOs is that they must have or be programmed with more knowledge about the topic being learned than the learner has. The ZPD principle relates to the difference between what a child can achieve independently and what a child can achieve with guidance from a skilled individual. Essentially, it includes all of the knowledge and skills that a person cannot yet understand or perform on their own yet, but is capable of learning with guidance. Once students achieve the goal of the initial activity, their zone grows and the student can do more independently. Full development of ZPD depends upon full social interaction. Analyzing the chart below, can you think of any instructional strategies that involve ZPD? Well, here are a few. A few instructional strategies that promote Vygotsky's principles of social interaction that encompass his two principles of the MKO as well as the ZPD. Scaffolding, pair, share or switch, and collaborative group work. Let's look at scaffolding. This is an instructional strategy in which a teacher or more advanced peer helps to structure or arrange a task so that every piece of information learned and every skill acquired provides the next level substructure for building higher order knowledge. Pair, share, or small group activities. These are instructional strategies where mixed learning levels are paired or grouped together so more advanced peers can help less advanced peers operation within their zone of proximal development, as well as strive to understand each other and work together to learn a specific skill. Turn talking, switch. Have you used any of these strategies in your classroom? Do you plan to use any of the strategies presented in this PowerPoint? Can you think of strategies not referenced in this presentation that apply Vygotsky's principles of social interaction? Vygotsky recognized that learning always occurs and cannot be separated from a social context. Teachers should therefore strive to implement instructional strategies that promote the dissemination of expert knowledge where students work cooperatively to conduct research, share their results, and perform or produce a final project. In other words, let's all learn together.